So if you look up the word fritter, it can mean to waste time, but it can also mean a crispy, tasty treat, and that's what I'm going to be making today. Shrimp fritters with Cajun Remoulade. That's right, shrimp fritters. Now, I'm going to put the full recipe below in the description so you can look at it if you need to, if you want to try and make this. But you can also follow along. I'll go through all the steps, and you can always refer back to the written description if you need to. First thing we need to do is we need to get our shrimp chopped up into smaller pieces than whole, probably about a 1/2 inch size. Doesn't have to be totally exact, but let's get started. Okay, so we have about 1 pound of large shrimp here. It's cleaned and deveined, and we just need to chop this up into 1/2 inch or so pieces. I'm going to kind of cut these down the middle, and cut those pieces in half after you cut sort of the tail section off. This will be just about right, because you do want to get a bite of the shrimp in the fritters. You don't want it to be a mush. Okay, I'm going to get the rest of this cut up, and then we're going to season it and saute it. All right, so we're going to get our pan heated up here. We're going to put a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil in. If you're using a nonstick pan, you don't really need that much oil. All right, let's see if we're hot enough yet. Just going to toss 1 piece of onion in there. Not quite. Let it get a little hotter. All right, we're going to add our onions, about 1/2 cup of chopped onions. You can use any kind of onion you want. I'm also going to add about 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic. We don't want to get this too hot. And we're just going to kind of sweat this down. This is kind of the base flavor for the shrimp that we're going to add in here. Good smell on this with all that garlic. All right, let's get our shrimp in here. And we are just going to saute this shrimp in here until it is cooked. But now we are also going to add some Cajun seasoning. I'm just using some McCormick's Perfect Pinch Cajun seasoning. You can use whatever kind you like. You could even go with straight cayenne pepper if you want. Get all these flavors mixed together. It smells really good right now. Get some of these pieces turned over and make sure everybody gets cooked. It's going to cook a little more once it's in the batter and being deep fried, but you want to make sure it is cooked before it goes in there. Starting to get that nice orangey pink color when shrimp cooks. Now when our shrimp is done with this stage of cooking, we're going to set it aside. This entire mixture of the onions and the garlic. I'm going to put it in a bowl, let it kind of cool a little bit while we get our batter ready. All right, our shrimp is done. Going to turn this off, set it aside, and get our batter ready. Now I'm going to be using a KitchenAid mixer for this. You could do it by hand if you're good at that, but this will help me not have any lumps in here. I'm not good at that. So we're going to add the milk, which is 1.5 cups of milk. And we're going to add our 3 eggs, which have been beaten. And add our 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And then we're going to add our teaspoon of salt and our 1/4 teaspoon of Cajun spice. All right, and we're going to start mixing this gently before we add our flour. All right, so I slowed the mixer down now. The wet ingredients are incorporated, and I'm going to start adding the flour about 1/4 cup at a time, and just so we start incorporating it to try and not get any lumps. All right, let me scrape the sides down here real quick before we continue adding our flour. Okay, now it's starting to get pretty thick here, and I have not added all the flour yet, so I may dial it back a little bit. I'm gonna add one more scoop here, and then we'll check it, but I think that may be it. I don't want it to get too thick. If it does, we can add a little bit of milk, thin it out. Okay, I think we are ready there. Our dough is looking pretty good. And we didn't use the full 3 1/4 cups here. We used maybe 2 1/2 cups. So you're just gonna have to adjust and play it by ear when you're making this stuff sometimes. If it's not thick enough for you, just keep adding it, or if you need to add a little liquid, add a little more milk. All right, let's get this ready to add our shrimp and our parsley. All right, so we're gonna add our parsley first. We're going to mix this in a little bit. And then we are going to add our shrimp and fold that into this mixture. So I'm just going to start adding our shrimp mixture here. This just smells so good. All right, so we're folding in the last of our shrimp here. We're going to do a test fritter first to make sure our dough is right. If we need to, we can add a little more flour or more liquid, but I think we're looking pretty good. All right, let's check on our oil. Okay, so we want our oil to get up to 350, 360 degrees. Got a little bit to go, it's still heating up. As soon as we get there, we'll start making these fritters. Let's see how this goes. Oh, it looks nice. Puffing up nicely. I'm gonna let that go for 30 seconds or so, then we'll flip it over so we can get some color on that other side too. And remember to keep an eye on the temperature of your oil so that it doesn't get too hot. You have to adjust it down. It's good. And I'm gonna have to turn on the fan here so you might hear some noise. All right, let's turn this over. All right. I am going to start adding these, and you can listen to some music while I do this so you don't have to listen to the fan. So I switched burners here because the other one was a little hard to control. It was getting a little hot, so I'm on a smaller burner here. A little bit more temperature control, which is good so the oil doesn't smoke. But they're looking good here. All right, back to some music for you. All right, so I'm going to finish these up, and then I am going to get working on the remoulade, and I'll show you that. So while those fritters are resting and cooling for a couple minutes, I'm going to put together the Cajun Remoulade, and we're going to use that to dip them. It's going to be great. So the main ingredient of the remoulade is this right here, 2 cups of mayonnaise. To this, we're also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 2 tablespoons or thereabouts of some sort of Creole or stone ground mustard, any sort of spicy, mustard you like, brown mustard. We've got about a tablespoon of fresh parsley that's been chopped up. And then we have a teaspoon of cayenne pepper for some heat. You can add more if you like it hotter than that. A teaspoon of celery salt, a teaspoon of paprika. We've got a couple tablespoons of lemon juice that we're going to be adding to this. 2 teaspoons of prepared horseradish, and about 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. And a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. We're going to add our 2 tablespoons of ketchup. About 1, it's about 2 tablespoons right there. We're going to add our 2 tablespoons of some spicy brown mustard here. 1, 2. About our tablespoon of minced up garlic there. Here's our 2 teaspoons of horseradish. That's a prepared horseradish. Add about a teaspoon here of Worcestershire. We're going to add our tablespoon or so of lemon juice. We're going to add our chopped parsley. We're going to add our spice mixture. That is the celery salt, the cayenne, and the paprika. And now we're going to mix. You can run this with an electric mixer if you want, or any way you choose to get this incorporated here. You can even make this ahead of time, refrigerate it overnight. Allows it to blend up, get all those flavors together. But it's pretty darn good when you make it and serve it right away. Give that a quick taste, see if we need to add anything to it. That's pretty good. I want a little more heat, so I'm going to add some Cajun spice to this. Mix this up. And then, in my opinion, you can't have a remoulade without a little bit of Tabasco. Just a few drops in there. I could do more, but my wife doesn't like it too spicy. All right, let's mix this up. Let's give this a final taste. See if we're ready. There we go. Nice and tangy and spicy. This is going to go perfect with those fritters. Let's give them a try. So there is the finished shrimp fritters with the Cajun Remoulade, and it is time to taste these. Time for the fritter. Let's get some remoulade on it. There we go. Now, I could tell you this tastes great, but I could just be saying that. So I'm going to have my mother-in-law come over here and taste this. And she's completely unbiased because basically she actually despises me. So if it's actually good, she'll tell you. She won't lie. Come over here, Myra. You're tasting. This is my mother-in-law, Myra. Myra, take a fritter.
Should I say it's good?
If you like it, you can say it's good. If it's horrible, say it's shite. But you got to get your head up so people can see. You see right there?
That's delicious.
It's delicious?
Yes.
All right, you can leave now. Thank you.
Okay.
The money's on the table. I'm actually going to have another bite because this is really good. Let's see. I got to say, the shrimp fritters are good, but that remoulade sauce just completely sets this off. Look at that. That is so good. If you want to try making these, couple suggestions. Make sure you're on a burner where you have a little more control of the heat. I had to move burners on here because it was getting too hot and starting to smoke the oil. Make sure that your fritter lumps, when you put them in there, aren't too big. If you keep them all about the same size, really just sort of a good heaping tablespoon, they'll cook quickly and evenly. We had a couple that turned out doughy and we kind of threw them back in to finish them off. But if you get them just that sort of this size, because they puff up to about this size, they're perfect then. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. It sure does help. If you're interested in anything I used in this video, I'll put links in the description down below. That way you can check them out yourself. If you're already a subscriber to my channel, thank you very much. And if you're not yet a subscriber, consider subscribing. And if you do, make sure you click that bell. That way you'll get a notification anytime I put out a new video. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to eat some more fritters now. Hope you have a great evening. I'll see you again soon. I'm just going to stand here and do that. You can't.